No, so now we're live. That's probably spot on. Okay, as we ask every live stream, can you hear us? Or does it sound like gash is the other
That's the other option.
is the other option. So yes.
So we'll sit in a patient silence until we hear.
Can you confirm
I'm
whether or not
liking,
you
I'm
can hear
liking
me?
the lighting this time. I think it looks
moody.
quite nice.
Yes, I've also just changed the camera settings a little bit to allow for that. Currently, nobody's commenting.
Does this mean you can't hear us, or that you weren't ready because we went live a bit early?
Well, there's 14 people there. Someone confirm whether you can hear us.
Can you hear us? We can't be bothered to say anything interesting in case waste this gold.
Can't waste the gold. I'm going to assume the answer is yes.
I'm going to assume the answer is no.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hooray!
Thank you.
What a waste of a minute.
Problem is, I bet it's because there's like a 1 minute delay. And
probably.
Now Jake has jumped in, confirmed it, and now they're going to sit for another minute of us going, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, well, we'll probably get a lot more people saying they can hear us. Anyway, good evening. Welcome to this pre-game show ahead of our
horror films of Comrade Veidt.
Top 10 horror films of Comrade Veidt, which has been a challenging one, not because he didn't make enough horror films, but because enough of them did survive.
Yeah.
As the top 10 will show.
Yes. So basically this live stream goes for an hour and then it will finish and you'll all get booted over to the Comrade Veidt video.
You don't need to do anything.
Apparently, that's how it should work. And we'll still be on the chat so you can ask more questions on there. And the questions are coming in thick and one. Did you see Longlegs? I did.
Did you enjoy it? Would you like to take
I thought it was all right.
Okay.
It's quite interesting that there is an actor who is not credited, which perhaps would ruin it.
Okay. If that does not ruin it.
But as soon as you see them, you know who it is. But it was nice.
Nigel Havers.
It was a nice sort of procedural kind of ad. Vibes of Seven and some other things. It was okay, but as I said, I've just been to Fright Fest. The two best films I saw there were Strange Darling and The Substance, both of which I very highly recommend. What did you think of Maxine? Did you see it yet? No. I preferred both X and Pearl. My friend messaged me because he just saw it today, and he said not everyone can do Quentin Tarantino.
Oh,
so take from that what you may. It was enjoyable.
Not a huge fan of Quentin Tarantino, but
well, that's all the questions.
That's all the questions.
That's all the questions for tonight. Let's start pimping some shit.
Who'd like to buy a quiz book?
Number one. There we go. So
that'll make the questions come.
We just
Dark Corner's horror movie quiz book, which has only recently been published, available on Amazon. 500 questions from across horror history. There are questions right from the silent era right up to this year. I have made a point of doing that. And yeah, it's very reasonably priced. Might stick the price up over Christmas. Not over Christmas, after Christmas. Once I've got all those in, because it is all. I think it may be underselling itself at the moment with how cheap it is.
Oh, what a bargain!
Yeah, it really is. So, very fine. Just make sure you've all got a good look at that. If you are wanting a signed copy, then get in touch with us. We can organise that, and get in touch with us before you purchase your copy, because then you'll end up paying. If you buy your own and then want it signed, it just takes a lot more postage because you've got to send it to us and so on.
Here's a question for you.
Oh boy.
What is the grisly name of the pub adjacent to the moor in An American Werewolf in London?
Is this for me or for them?
That's for them. You wrote the book. You know the answer.
You'd think, but there are 500 questions.
So there you go. That's a sample of the hard-hitting questions.
That was not one of the harder questions, I don't think.
No,
but you know these things or you don't.
That's true. Okay, next question. Have you seen Alien Romulus yet? Yes, I saw it. I liked the bits that were new, and I hated all the bits that were member berries. When he said, "Get away from her, you bitch," I groaned audibly loud in the cinema.
And were asked to leave.
But other people clapped like it was the best reference ever. So What can you say?
I had a straight choice between going to see Alien Romulus or Blink twice, and I saw Blink twice. And to be honest, I'm pretty happy with that as a decision. I liked that, and I was not that enthused by Alien Romulus.
No.
There's been a lot of people talking about it, but people I trust are mostly go, yeah.
Yeah, it was really just there was new stuff which was really interesting. The start of it was great, had a great look, but then when it just repeated beats from the other films,
I'll be honest.
And I had high hopes for
there's-
that director because I really liked what he did with the Evil Dead.
Oh, okay.
I
think that the necessity of a new Alien film ceased to be about 40 years ago.
And Matthew Stewart got the answer right. The pub in American Werewolf in London is indeed the Slaughtered Lamb.
Well done.
Oh, but Andrew Parsons beat him to it. So. Okay, next question. Man with a Thousand Faces from 1957. Will we review it?
I suppose we might as a streaming thing. It would be quite an interesting one to do, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good... If we can find it streaming somewhere, then yeah.
Yes. Okay. We'll take on someone.
It'll be a review that's just me going, well, this isn't true, and that's not true.
Any news on Terrifier 3? I believe it's finished and it's coming out Halloween. And I also understand that the director has taken on board the constructive criticism that Terrifier 2 was about an hour too long. So, yeah, so looking forward to that. Yes, I also preferred it to Alien Covenant and Prometheus. Alien Prometheus, the one film leaving the cinema, I could feel how deflated everybody was from that film. I was like, what did we just watch? Cool. Is the original Terminator a horror film? I'd say so. And me too.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, well, it's basically like a Michael Myers, but in robot form.
Yes.
So 100%. Thoughts on the trailer for Guy Madden's rumors? I don't know. I haven't seen it. I'm sorry.
I haven't seen that.
In a parallel universe, Conrad Veidt would have made a great Freddy Krueger.
Mm.
Well, I'm going to see that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Still
got we don't get to see him as Dracula. That would have been something.
Yeah. Was he too young for Dracula at that point? No.
I mean, it would have been a different Dracula.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been the same thing, and I'm sure they'd have worked around it. I think maybe they'd have gone with old age makeup and then becoming young, because that's what happens in the book. So
right.
Was
there anything in all your researching of Caligari and the Conrad Veidt special
about
that you couldn't put into the videos because of focusing on things like any interesting bit of trivia?
I mean, probably not a huge amount, to be honest. I like reading about some of the lost films, which are always interesting, and you sort of like get little snippets of what these might have been like. And I love that the Kafirsten Dam is the film that I'm sort of most interested in.
So yeah, you're right. We won't spoil the plot because we're going to talk about it in the video.
Yeah, that I had no idea existed. And I think that sounds like a great plot for a short.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know how they stretch that out to a feature.
Yeah.
But it's a great punchline. Do you know the last two words Boris Karloff said?
No.
Nope, sorry. Your trivia is...
Hang on, let me check my book.
Any feelings on The Exorcist 3?
I mean, it's got a fantastic few scenes in it. I think yeah, Exorcist 3 is a pretty reasonable. Probably
harmed by being called Exorcist 3 as opposed to something else. So it comes with Exorcist baggage, which I think the theatrical cut was like, look, there's no exorcism in this Exorcist movie. So they had to crowbar it in. But yeah, it's got one of the best jump scares in cinema.
Yeah, I find even watching that, knowing it's coming, it still makes me jump. But I'm easily scared.
What if Nightmare on Elm Street, a 50s film starring Vincent Price as Freddy Krueger? We're just like recasting Freddy Krueger.
I'm not sure about Vincent Price as Freddy Krueger. I think it might lose some of the terror, as it were.
Have you seen Santa Swinging?
Santa Sangre.
Yeah.
Hodorowski. No.
Okay. Nope is the answer. What if Lon Chaney Sr. had been Dracula, as Universal had originally wanted?
You see, I'm not sure how that would have gone. So many of Lon Chaney's MO is these sort of like romantic characters or thwarted romantic characters. I feel like they would have tried to put that into Dracula, and I think that would have hurt it. I can't imagine Lon Chaney playing a character that, like Dracula, that's so devoid of emotion. I mean, that's really what you watch Lon Chaney for.
Boris Karloff's last words, Walter Pigeon. I had heard that before.
Oh, right.
Yes.
That sounds like last words you say just so that everybody is forever puzzling, just to wind people up. Everyone will always ask, why were my last words Walter Pigeon?
So if I was ever like...
He was looking out the window just, what a pigeon.
Yeah. If I ever had like a job where I was in the military at any point, in my dying breath, I would say something about the alien spacecraft that we'd captured. And Mr. and Mrs. Science Advisor are in the house.
Hooray.
Everyone say hello to Mr. and Mrs. Science
Hello.
Advisor. We are working on getting a T-shirt for the Science Advisor.
Yes, it turns out I had the photos and I've forgotten to send them to Graham, so that's entirely my fault.
What else have we got here? I don't know that one. It's moving too fast.
The questions are coming in thick and fast.
Most of them are just like different people to play Freddy Krueger. I've got Gilbert Gottfried here now.
Well, that was your fault for asking.
Would you consider doing Antonio Margheriti horror films?
Haven't we just reviewed one?
Maybe.
It rings a bell. To be honest, I don't know who. It's not a name I'm desperately familiar with. I thought we'd just done one.
That's not the guy who did Amazons, is it?
No. But yeah, no, I thought it was the guy who did the Poe one not the Poe one, the Barbara Steele one that we just reviewed.
Castle of Blood.
And it is. Wow, I was right. Yeah, we'd consider it. We've done one already. And I think we'll probably do Web of whatever, the other version of that at some point. Yes. Whether for bad or good, I don't actually know yet because I haven't seen it.
And we talk about doing a Barbara Steele one as well. I looked around for a book about Barbara Steele and I can't find. There's one which is in Spanish, which isn't very useful to us.
I always feel like you discover something like that, you think, I should write that book. That would sound...
here we go. Here's one I'm going to claim.
Okay.
You might have answers for it. This is, guys, so just saw Fright Fest, and someone's got a question here. Have you any advice on how to make an ultra-low budget horror movie? Great shots and atmosphere, not just cheap jump scares. So at Fright Fest, I saw quite a lot of low-budget horror films, and what came over frequently were... They had so few, they could only afford so many actors that the actors spent a lot of time looking forlorn, having flashbacks or fantasy things in order to explain what was going on in their psyche. So I would avoid that because it got really boring seeing that same thing happening. If you look at something like Strange Darling, which again, not going to ruin anything about it, but it's a very small cast and it's obviously beautifully shot, but they do so much. And so just really work on the script is probably the best thing. Is like before you go and do anything else, really nail that script. And a film, if it's not 90 minutes, cut it. Like every one of the films I saw at Fright Fest, more or less, could have lost half an hour easily. So that's a big tip. Any other good tips?
I mean, to be honest, my point for the question would be I wouldn't worry about too much about getting fantastic shots and atmosphere, get a good script and characters and dialogue.
Yeah.
And sound. People will forgive it looking a bit ropey. The sound quality is no one forgives that. Make sure that's good.
Yeah.
So make sure what they're saying is worth hearing.
Another one that was really good, that was really low budget one, was Dead Male. Again, very small cast, but it had more than just a kidnapping and a rescue to it. All of the characters had other stuff going on that made them interesting and made you want to follow them and invest in them beyond what was just required by the plot. So that's...
I have to address.
Yep.
You see, someone says Cheney Senior was in He Who Laughs, which is not a film. But
is he mentioning the
possibly?
man,
I'm
who
assuming
laughs and he who gets slapped?
That's my question. One of them he's in, so I'm assuming it's He Who Gets Slapped.
Yes.
So I just wanted to address that.
So
or it could be Laugh Clown Laugh. But yeah.
Cheney Senior, Mr. Science Advisor.
Talk amongst yourselves while
more casting for Freddy Krueger.
Who knew that Robert Englund was so easily replaceable?
Did you hear that Boris Karloff has a new comic book series out? I did not.
I think it's a bit of a stretch saying he has it out, but yeah.
You guys are great. Thank you.
Thank you. That's the sort of honest feedback that we don't get enough of.
What if Holiday on the Buses was adapted into a gothic horror?
Both made by Hammer.
There's a lot of what ifs tonight.
I assume that's a reference to the fact that the Buses films are made by Hammer, which is still crazy to me. But there you go.
What else we got? Thoughts on the new Apes film? I liked it enough.
Yeah, I'm
that's where
I'm done.
I go with that.
Don't keep making things when the story's told.
Dan, there's so many more stories you can tell.
I mean, I suppose given how long Planet of the Apes has kept going, but I think that you've got to take it in some new direction.
Which I think it did, because it jumps a big chunk of the way.
Okay.
Trailers really fucked up that film, though. The last trailer, I'm so glad I didn't see it, because I saw, when I went to go and see it, some of the reveals were properly reveals, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe the ad people were bold enough not to reveal these great shocking twists. And then I saw the last trailer before the film came out. It just ruined all of those bits. I was like, god damn you, marketing people, you don't know what you're doing. What frightens you most in horror?
What frightens me most? I suppose sometimes it's the sort of, sometimes it's the sense of being when there's like an isolated person and something creepy goes. Because I live alone, then it's anything that plays into that, really. So I think that's the case with all horror. That if it's something that is related to you, to your situation, then of course it's going to affect you more. So if there's a horror film about a writer living alone and something creepy in his house that's watching him as he sleeps, then yeah, that would freak me out.
Oh, thank you, Andreas.
Thank you.
What do I don't like knives cutting into flesh.
I don't like anything. I don't like torture or anything like that, but that's not what scares me.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess what scares me is it needs supernatural doesn't scare me, something real scares me. So like a home invasion kind of thing. That feels like something that's more likely to happen to me. So Eden Lake, like that just irks me, because it feels like, oh yeah, there are like, kids who don't give a fuck out there. Now mold is like, oh, the kids. Yeah. Kids and their evil ways.
What scares Graham is young people.
Yeah.
Like all men of his age.
We got My Sister Can't Watch Coraline. I just saw that in its re-release in 3D and enjoyed it.
It's a really good film.
Just watched a video on The Devil Rides Out. Do you wish Hammer made more films with Lee as Juvishlu?
Yeah, I think that would be nice. As long as they were sort of like doing something different each time. I wouldn't want to see other Devil Rides Outs, as it were. I wouldn't want it to turn into a boring franchise. But yeah, as long as they found other things to do with the character.
Yes.
I mean, I'd like to have seen him in more diverse roles for Hammer generally.
Yeah. I did also see the Christopher Lee documentary, The Life and Deaths of Christopher Lee, and I'm a bit disappointed. It's hard though, because we've done so much on Christopher Lee. So you kind of just go, oh yeah, knew that. Why didn't you put this in? that kind of thing.
It sounded like it needed more focus.
But where do you focus? I don't know. So I don't have any.
Well, if you can't answer that question, you shouldn't be making a documentary about it. That's my point, really. Unless you're if you just said we're going to tell Christopher Lee's story, birth to death, and try and acknowledging we can't get everything in, but just get everything in we can, then you're onto a hiding to nothing. You need to have like a vision of this story of Christopher Lee has not been told. This version of him has not been told. That's what we want to do. Otherwise, you're just making it for its own sake.
But that's where they don't. Yeah, they just don't have the access to something like that. So you basically for something like that, you need to stumble upon like, oh my God, did you know Christopher Lee in his attic had all of these home movies?
Yeah,
that's where you go. Oh, we can make something really interesting. Yeah. But he's dead. All of the key people who worked with him are dead. So you end up with your talking heads being John Landis, Joe Dante, his biographer, Caroline Monroe a couple of times, and the people he did his heavy metal albums with.
Yeah.
And so these are all people sort of later on in his life, and I mean they've got insights, but it's just not the same as working with him in his.
No, I'm saying you shouldn't make a film when that's what you've got.
Nah, if you get the money for it,
Nobody's forcing me.
Okay. Trailers hurt movies so bad. Totally agree. See Joe Dante's Manti.
Oh, that's
whatever
fun.
It is. Yeah, sometimes I've seen that.
Yeah.
From my girlfriend's brother. Have you watched the new M. Night Shyamalan film Trap? If so, any thoughts? My thoughts on that: the people sitting next to me did not shut the fuck up the whole movie. And
did you broach the subject?
At the end, I just told them.
At the end,
I did it once. I went, oh, these are people who aren't going to do anything about it. And I just said, you are the fucking worst cinema people, and I know you don't care. You're just going to go off. I'm never going to see you again. Just want you to know you are the fucking worst. To which, like, the girl sort of smiled awkwardly and the guy looked embarrassed, which is all I could hope for. So, yes, I did see Trap. I really liked the first half. When it left the stadium, it went rapidly downhill. Any novels on the horizon? Well, you've got these ones, part of what you like to call the Universal series, Mummy's Quest.
Universal Library, but he's not like he's read them.
These are my copies.
Yeah.
Look at them. Yeah. Mid condition.
The spine has not been bent. I've read them here more than you have because it helps me sleep.
I didn't know they were that boring.
They're familiar. I'm intending there to be another Universal Library book out before Christmas. It's not as far along as it ought to be, as I would like it to be. It's been really, really difficult, but it's coming. I would definitely want it to be out before Christmas because otherwise, really, I'm taking a huge hit in sales.
Yes, but also we just recorded an upcoming special on Frankenstein and the Bride of Frankenstein, in which we commit in the video to saying your next book will be out December 2025.
Yeah, you didn't notice a problem with that?
No.
That's next year.
Oh, did we say 2025?
We did. It will be out in 2025.
I can do some jiggery pokery.
Yeah, I mean, let's wait to see. Maybe the book will go even worse than it has been.
If you could just say right now, December 2024.
December 2024.
There you go. Problem solved.
Yeah, that'll lip sync, no problem.
Okay. What movie scared you as kids? Exorcist 3, I have memories of being scary.
How old were you when you saw that?
Too young.
Yeah.
Company of Wolves.
Dark Crystal scared me first time I saw that.
Yeah.
I was thinking, because, I mean, obviously, going back to that subject, Frankenstein's the first horror film I remember seeing, and certainly that did scare me when I was little.
With Martin Landau playing Lugosi and Edward, what actors would you like to see play the likes of Karloff, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Vincent Price?
Gosh.
think on.
Yeah, this is always the problem when people throw stuff like that at you. It's very difficult to just pull names out of a hat. Or Michael Sheen can play all of them.
What else we got? Your books are brilliant.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind. Might be talking to you.
Can't remember what I said was boring. Oh, your book. Are you looking forward to the new Wallace and Grommet coming out at Christmas?
I am. It's obviously it'll be weird without Peter Sallis, but my larger concern is that the last one they did, Matter of Loaf and Death, wasn't really as good. It's the first time I've thought of Wallace and Grommet. So I hope it's a return to form. And yeah, you do miss Peter Sallis.
So someone here saying they'd like to see a documentary on Peter Cushing. And the thing is, yeah, you would. It's just, how do you do these nowadays when everyone's gone? That
I suppose
could provide such insight.
There's a good one that airs on Talking Pigs TV every now and then.
Yeah.
It's mostly archive stuff. So sometimes it's a question of going through the archives and finding stuff and putting it together in an interesting way.
Yeah. I mean, they did have a great bit, a bit of news footage in this documentary after Christopher Lee is knighted and he's being interviewed. And I go, well, what was your favorite film? And he's like, Jinnah. That meant a lot to me. That was like a real stretch for acting, and I thought it was a really important film. Which goes, oh, that's great. So Christopher Lee here's just been knighted. He's now a knight, and he's knight and the king of horror. And he's like, what I'm king of horror? What are you talking about? don't do horror. And that's the best bit, but it's like this very choice bit that they got from from a news thing. And it's like that kind of archival research that I felt that this documentary did not have, but it could also be due to the budget constraints they've got.
Yeah.
There's kind of if you're making a film that you're selling and putting out there, you need to do proper clearances. YouTube, you just fair use everything and hope for the best. So
it usually works out.
Yeah. So I can totally see the issues.
I can see, don't get me wrong, I can't see the issues. I just don't think you should necessarily set out on that project if you know you're not going to be able to do this.
What are your views on gore in horror movies? Having just seen The Substance, I bloody loved it. More gore, please.
I'm less of a fan.
I really want some of our some Cronenbergian stuff, more of that. I don't think we have enough of that anymore. Best books about horror cinema. What would you recommend?
I mean, that's a very general subject. If you're looking at sort of like specific ones, then I've just read an excellent biography of James Whale by James Curtis. I'd highly recommend that. It's very detailed. I'm trying to think if there's anything just sort of generically about horror. Think of anything specific.
I guess be by specific books about different. Like
about
if you want,
if you want
a general book, it's like horror's such a big topic. That,
I've got a very good one about Hammer by Marcus Hearn, and I've forgotten his name now. It's called like the authorized history of Hammer horror.
Yeah.
But,
what's the one?
Who's the other guy?
I've had one recommended that's in my wish list at the moment.
David Pirry's History of Gothic Cinema holds up very well. I think that's an older book.
The House of Psychotic Women. There's one that's been recommended to me recently. So maybe that one. I haven't read it, but so from Andreas, Lugosi's serial The Phantom Creeps is now edited into a movie, Mad Scientist stuff. I've certainly dug it out when we did the top 10 Bela Lugosi deaths.
Yes. Yeah. That was a while ago.
So yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch the edited down version of serials. It seems vaguely insulting to me, all that work just being condensed like that.
Speaking of James Whale, thoughts on Gods and Monsters? Matthew thought it was a bit ridiculous. It's a film that I really like.
I really
it was
like
quite
it. We did a
interesting
very-
what you were talking about earlier with what Ian McKellen had to work from.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why it would be ridiculous, but to each their own. I really enjoyed the film. It takes a few liberties with Whale's life. He wasn't living alone at the end. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good representation of him.
But you said, but there's no footage of him.
No, there's no footage. The only footage of James Whale is he appears in a home movie made at Carl Laemmle's birthday party, and he's got a small cameo in one of his films. I'm going to forget which one it is now. Might be, is it One River More, something like that? I can't remember. But one of his films, he has a very small cameo and a shouted line in that, and I think that's the only recording of his voice. So yeah, there's not a lot really to go on in terms of, except for people's description, people's memories of him. But I think Ian McKellen captures him very well in terms of the man he was.
I tend to think of biopics are not documentaries, and you take a lot of liberties in order to tell an interesting story. I'm generally fine with them not being accurate to truth.
It depends if they think. I don't want them ever to change the nature of the person they're talking about.
Right.
The films are about. So I think that's very an accurate representation of James Whale. It changes some small details about his life, but it does that to sort of simplify, to create a situation. If he wasn't living alone, then you wouldn't have this situation with the gardener coming into his life.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the gardener coming into his life is not dissimilar to how he ended up living with his final partner. So I'm perfectly okay with that. He picked up a younger man when he was in France touring with a theatre show.
Yeah.
And that was who he spent his.
But then we also have how Bela Lugosi's portrayed in Ed Wood, which was really nothing like Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
But by the most part, like Bela Lugosi didn't swear all the time.
No.
But he was also a massive drug addict, so that's accurate. So yes.
But yeah, I like the film.
Have you seen Dance Macabre? Or read it? Sorry, Stephen King's.
Oh right, no. I'm familiar with the music by Sanson.
I didn't like Fraser's performance. It's been a few years. Perhaps time for a revisit. We did a review of it not too long ago, Gods and Monsters. Yeah. So maybe watch that and see if that tickles your fancy. Have you read the recent English translation of Godzilla and Godzilla Raids Again? No, somebody. Actually, I think the guy actually reached out to us who did it for us to review it.
Oh, right.
And we didn't.
And we just ignored him. What a disgrace.
Shocking scene that time, Frankenstein 31 with the girl going into the lake. That's very much the opening of
it is
our Frankenstein video.
Well, it's you know, you want to get that out of the way almost up top and deal with that. It's one of the best known things about the film is how that scene was mucked about with.
What's the worst zombie movie and what's the best? I think there's so many terrible ones that you wouldn't even know about. So I'll leave that one out. But best ones, you've got obviously Dawn of the Dead.
Dawn of the Dead, Night of the Living Dead.
Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah. Train to Busan, I'm a huge
One
fan
Cut of the Dead.
That's great fun.
Yeah,
Going back earlier, there's I Walked with the Zombies, a fantastic film, very different type of zombies. So's the Hammer one, Plague of the Zombies. Something we're going to do a special about at some point is the
Cornish
the Cornish duo of that film and The Reptile.
So yeah, that's but yeah, as to the worst, there's so many terrible ones. How would you even pick the worst?
Yeah, I mean, we just recorded a review today of the incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed up zombies, which I would say is one of the worst zombie films I've filmed. If I thought they were zombies, but I don't think they are.
Yeah,
it's just in the title.
Robin, is there a continuity to your books? Where should somebody start?
to get the most out of them, then start with The Mummy's Quest. There is some continuity. They still stand alone, but I think you get more out of them if you read them in order. Of course, I do myself a disservice if people don't particularly like the Mummy one. But I take that risk.
Will you be doing more videos about character actors like your excellent Michael Ripper one? So this is part
Comrade Vite.
Yeah, Comrade Vite. So this is part of a series that we're continuing to do, which is basically like we call it like it's a top 10, but it's a way of just looking at a bunch of their films and giving them a little context. So later on this year, after we do the Frankenstein, we'll be doing Boris Karloff.
Yeah.
But we'll obviously at some point do Christopher Lee, Barbara Steele we want to do, and we'll probably also bring it into directors.
Yeah.
So
I think it would be nice to do
Terence Fisher.
Lesser known people as well. I think the Ripper one, it was never going to be huge views, but I'm pleased that people appreciated it.
Yeah.
And I thought, I'm going to forget her bloody name now, but the actress who's like Universal's most prolific
Oh, okay, yeah.
Female horror actor.
Yeah. And
that's been a very long day.
was she Elsa in Frankenstein something?
She's the heroine in The Wolfman. It's on the tip of my tongue. And
I'm going to give you another question while I look that up.
Okay.
I take it you both listen to the Hammer Horror podcast.
Nope.
Great.
I don't listen to podcasts. It's just my days are already too packed. I just can't quite find the time for everything. There you go.
Okay. Loved your glowing review of Godzilla -1, but what are your thoughts on Shin Godzilla? And did -1 change your opinion on that at all?
No, I thought Shin Godzilla was good. I never thought it was in the same league as the original. And that was what I genuinely thought about Godzilla -1, which surprised me. Evelyn Ankers, that's it. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do a top 10 Evelyn Ankers at some point. Did you have thoughts on Shin Godzilla that were different to mine, or a point of view?
I think I kind of didn't like the monster design in Shin Godzilla. The tail just was too weirdly long and looked ridiculous, and that kind of jarred with me when I was watching it.
Detail to focus on.
Yeah. From Bottom Bungard, I didn't know you did books. Do you not pimp your books hard enough, Mr. Bales?
Well, you never know where people are looking, but yes, there's a series of 6. They're each inspired by mostly Universal horror films, all by classic horror films. The Mummy's Quest is the first one. That's probably the best place to start, but you can read them in any particular order if you'd rather read a Dracula book or a Wolfman book or whatever. They're available on Amazon. If you want signed copies, then get in touch with me.
There you go. Have you seen the Gates of Hell trilogy?
This is nothing to do with the Japanese film Gate of Hell, is it? Okay, no.
Fulci.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I think I've seen one of them.
Okay. Favorite Ken Russell film?
Ooh. I mean, from what I've seen, I really enjoy The Lair of the White Worm. I mean, it's just bonkers. I wish I had a stomach enough to get through The Devils, but I don't. I think it's the half of it that I've seen when Mark Kermode introduced it at the Cinema Museum very passionately. I thought was brilliant, but the torture is just more than I can bear.
Why has J horror become less popular than it was?
Evelyn Ankers. Yes, see, everybody's telling me that it's Evelyn Ankers. Thank you.
J horror become less popular, and
I don't know. I think it's. I mean, this is. I mean, obviously things come up and down. I'm not sure if there's been exactly what's been coming out of Japan in horror terms recently, but I do also think that the rise of horror from other areas, and particularly Korea, is maybe because we're terrible in the West that we can only really cope with one country at a time. So I think everyone's sort of like moved over to K horror and just ignored J horror.
Yeah, maybe it just hasn't evolved in an interesting way. But there was, I mean,
it has their moments.
It seemed, and I think also partly this was Hong Kong cinema in the early 2000s was getting a big renaissance because of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and then Quentin Tarantino pushed for Hero to come out. So there was this thing, but I believe since stuff going on in Hong Kong, that movie industry isn't what it was, and so they're not producing films to the same degree. So that's Hong Kong, and so
that's
maybe
not really to do with J horror,
but maybe there's a sense of, oh, we're not getting any of those sorts of films. So there's, if you've got like a rising tide rises all ships, like if we were getting more Hong Kong cinema, that would open the door to more J horror coming in.
Similar to what I was saying, that basically we just lump it all together.
Yes. But obviously, like Korean television with Squid Game and some other ones is doing great. So what about the Russian film Day Watch and Night Watch?
I love Night Watch. I don't think I ever got around to the first one.
Oh, the second
Night Watch,
one.
then Day Watch.
Okay, yeah, I remember seeing the second one in cinema. It has the best subtitles.
Oh, right.
Because they're integrated into the film. So when somebody's on the phone, the subtitles for the other end of the phone will be blurred. So you can kind of read them, but you kind of can't.
In Night Watch, I remember they were different colours depending on people's moods and stuff.
Yeah.
And they were sort of like that.
So they escalate it, and there's another bit where someone throws some meat against the wall, and the word it like comes on blood on the wall. And then this bit where it's chalk, it's getting written, but it's just really invented use of subtitles in the film. But then when I got it on DVD, it didn't have those subtitles. It just had regular subtitles.
And suddenly you realise the subtitles were all you liked about the film.
No, so it's just stupidly excessive film. So it was kind of fun.
It's a good film.
Baby Cart's Assassin. I don't know it. Do you wish Andy Warhol did more horror movies?
Not really. I'm not sure Andy Warhol did the horror movies that he did. I think he just lent his name.
Okay. Arrow Video did announce a J horror box set. Yes, it did. I don't know if it's more classic stuff than new stuff, maybe. Audition, you haven't seen that, have you? I've got it. I need to actually watch it. I've not got around to watching it. So it's one of the films that I go, all right, I've got to watch it. I don't want to put it on and get distracted.
Yeah. I do this when people give me films, and if it's a film I've really wanted to see on then I tend to find I find that I've got to watch this at the perfect time, and it ends up just sitting in my to watch pile for months and months and months because I'm so busy with other stuff, and I don't want to watch it too late in the evening because I'll end up falling asleep, or I'll just think no, because I got to work tomorrow. I'll end up stopping it, and I don't want to watch it too early because I'll be eating or something. I end up deferring it, and it becomes the film ends up having something ridiculous to live up to. It mustn't live up to the amount of time I've waited to watch it.
Do you think we'll ever run out of material and eventually be forced to review The Incredible Petrified World? No.
I mean, at a rate of only one film a week, I don't think you have any shot of running out of bad movies. It's astounding.
Well, like we just said,
if we just concentrated on Godfrey Ho, we'd be all right for the next couple of years.
But and saying we've just done like 2 Andy Milligans. We just did we've done 2 Andy Milligan films.
We've done 2 total. Oh, I see what you mean.
2 total.
Sorry, I thought you meant.
We've got his entire back catalogue to fall back. We've still got all the Michael J. Murphy ones to do. We've got they've done a box set for the Incredible Strange.
That
guy. There's a box set of his
Ray
films
Dennis
out.
Steckler.
We've not really touched a lot of Al Adamson ones.
No, there's an awful lot there.
That's just 4 directors with box sets of films that we've not touched.
We could be doing this for the rest of our lives, but frankly, I'd rather not contemplate that.
Okay. Just finished Blood Lips from Jean Rollin. I've never seen a movie that features more aimless walking around. Okay.
Yeah, if it's Jean Rollin, then it's probably punctuated with
nudes,
with nudity and blood.
Any suggestion for Central and South American horror films?
Ooh,
all the ones we've done are all like Mexican wrestler ones.
Not sure there's any particularly strong recommendations there I can make out of those ones.
No, sorry, but
I
that's,
mean, there's the Hodorowski
yeah.
films, aren't there? But that's a little bit.
But maybe
obvious.
that's another blind spot that we've got to have a look into. Ever catch the Master of Horror series from the early 2000s? No, but I
No.
did get my sister the box sets of
Okay.
those, and she went, "Yeah, there's a lot of nudity in them." But the concept of this series, it was produced by Showtime, and they just went to horror directors like Toby Hooper or Joe Dante, and just like went, "Yeah, make a horror film suitable for Showtime," which at that point was
mostly nudity.
Was more nudity than it is now. What horror films do you think are the most overrated? Could be anything.
Yeah.
Have you read any of James Herbert's book?
No.
I've not since. I think I read The Moon.
I don't tend to read horror.
Yeah. Bone Woman is a terrifying Mexican horror.
Okay, there you go.
Die Blick, Russian movie, several versions. Why do I feel like
Die Blick?
Yeah. I don't know it. No, just waiting for some more questions to come in then. But anyway, in 15 minutes, we'll be finishing this and we'll be jumping over to the Conrad Veitz video, just so you know what's going on. Do you think Nosferatu? Do you think the Nosferatu remake is warranted?
I don't think it's warranted. I like Robert Eggers. I don't really see the point. I mean, it's not like the thing is. I mean, it's a version of Dracula. Yes, why not just make a new version of Dracula? It just seems so pointless to me.
I'm okay with this stuff because if it's bad, I don't need to watch it, and if it's good, wow, we got a good movie. Yeah. So just make whatever.
Okay.
Have you seen the original Woman in Black? By which
you mean
the made-for-TV movie we have reviewed?
Yes.
If you're talking about the theatrical version, I've seen that.
Yeah. There's a book. So I suppose the book would be the original one, but that doesn't really.
Have you seen the book?
Have you seen the book?
I saw it on a shelf.
Yeah, it was on right there. Looked great.
Was Conrad really the inspiration for the Joker?
I believe so.
I would say, from what I've read, one of the inspirations. So it's not like, oh, let's make this guy a thing. It's like, oh, that's an interesting picture. The Joker is also on the, is the Joker in a deck of cards, which is also part of the inspiration. So it's come from several different things. Yeah. Would the Joker exist without the Man Who Laughs? Probably.
There'd be some version of that, but it might not look the same.
Yeah.
When you see the pictures together, you do think, well, surely. And since I think what is it like 3 out of 4 of Batman's creators say it was that, then I'm going to go.
Yeah, that's the weird thing is that
there's still one holdout.
Yeah. Do you think Del Toro will ever get his Mountains of Madness movie? I don't know. I'm waiting for his Frankenstein.
He's trying. Yeah, it's Frankenstein next year, isn't it?
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. Probably should have held off on our one, but there you go.
What is your least favorite Val Lewton horror film?
Bedlam.
Oh, I quite like Bedlam.
Yeah, we disagree on this, but actually, I mean, I think that sort of almost plays into what we say in the special, that there's sort of like ones.
Yeah.
There's ones for everyone, as it were. That one doesn't work so well for me. What's your least favorite then? It's still Bedlam. You just like it more than me.
No. Let's have a think. It's obviously not Cat People, not the other Cat People. Not Plague of Zombies. I like the Leopard one.
Leopard Man. Ghost Ship.
It might be Ghost Ship.
Okay. I think Ghost Ship's a really visceral one.
So I'm going Ghost Ship.
It can't be Body Snatcher. That's just brilliant.
Yeah.
I think you sort of talk. It's got the Ghost Ship's probably the only one left.
By
There's
elimination.
one more. Oh, the Seventh Victim's the other one.
No, I quite like them all. It's hard.
Yeah, they're good films.
One of the other ones that we barely covered.
They aren't horror films.
Well, one
of
those
horror films.
Did he though?
Yes.
Let me double check the
I
question.
was listening. It was.
No, but I sometimes.
Oh, you just read it out
I
wrong.
sometimes miss out words that I don't think are necessarily needed.
You put them in as well, though.
Sometimes.
Worrying. Apologies if I haven't been answering your questions. Graham is apparently just making them up as he goes.
Oh, it's been deleted. I can't find it. It's gone.
Wow. A contentious enough question.
Yes. Look forward to the Comrade Hype video. Such an impact.
Hope you enjoy it.
Thoughts on Hitchcock's Frenzy?
Yeah, I think it's his last really, really good film. I'm not sure if I call it a great film, but with Hitchcock, you work on a different scale because there's sort of like great films, and then there's like another level above that where you have I can't think of another director who's got so many sort of like all-time classics. It's a really good film, though.
Which version of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is your favourite? Is there more than one?
Yeah, there's loads.
Was there?
So many.
Who knew that was a video?
Yeah, that's definitely a video. Of the existing ones, I suppose I'd probably go for the Frederick March one, but I'm still of the opinion that Jekyll and Hyde is up for grabs for like the definitive version, that somebody could still make it.
Ooh.
Hopefully me.
Well, you're going to have to finish your Captain Kronos script
Captain
first.
Kronos. I'm waiting for them to get in touch with me on that one.
Hello, fellas. I'm an American fan, actor, and author. The annotated Abbott and Costello with Matthew Korean forward by John Landis. I met Vampira, Criswell, and Paul Marco. Wow, the whole collection of Edwards team. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you're a fan. And
yeah, thanks for watching.
Yeah, but is it just called the annotated Abbott and Costello? We're looking at doing something on them soon, so it might be useful to know.
On their horror films, anyway.
Yeah.
Horror films up there, horror comedies, obviously.
Okay. Well, favorite Powell and Pressburger?
Ooh. Probably the Red Shoes, I guess.
Okay.
I'd like to give it I'd like to give a shout out to I Know Where I'm Going, because I think it gets lost in all the other, in the Powell and Pressburger greatness, just because it's a black and white one. And Powell and Pressburger is actually mentioned in the video that we are prefacing with this, because Conrad Veidt was in The Spy in Black, which is in no way, which is in no way a horror film. But like I said, all his horror films are lost. So
okay, and thank you, Laura, for this very generous donation. We will now answer your question. Do you think there's a reason for a Beetle Juice sequel? For me, it falls into the unwanted and unnecessary territory. I kind of had the same opinion. If it's great, great. If it sucks, I don't have to watch it. So
I don't know if it was necessary, but I like the idea of a Beetlejuice sequel, if I'm honest, because I like Michael Keaton in that role and I'd like to see more of it. But it's been a while since Tim Burton's made a good film. He
just did like an interview recently where he realized, it's like, I'm not doing any more Disney films. I realized that was terrible. I was like, well, everyone was telling you. Everybody was telling you they were awful. So I hope for a film that still has originality and isn't just a whole bunch of callbacks. As
there's a lot of callbacks.
Somebody, Red Letter Media, mentioned when who's playing his wife?
His wife?
Yeah, in it, Beetlejuice wife.
No, I don't know.
Yes, you do, because we talked about it. I was in the Bond film with Daniel Craig, oldest Bond girl.
Oh, right.
Monica Bellucci.
That sounds right.
Monica Bellucci, she comes out and she's missing her finger. In the original Beetlejuice, when he's getting married, he goes, "Oh, but she means nothing to me," and throws it away. And it's like they went, "Oh, that something that was just a throwaway joke is now law."
But if it's if that's his wife is like integral to it, if that's like a plot line, then that's fine.
Yeah,
and it's just tying it to it by using the missing finger.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But it's just like, oh, remember these little references. Yeah, we've got to keep an eye on the time. We've got 5 minutes and lots of questions to get through. Okay. people doing castings.
I'm available.
Logan's Run remake, but that got dropped.
Probably
That's
just as well.
fine. Thoughts on the all-new female reboot of Fight Club? I'd watch that.
Well, it is coming. That's not something someone's making up.
I did not know about this.
Yeah. That comes to me under the credit, under the blanket of stuff that doesn't need to be remade, because I mean, an awful lot of that is the payoff, and everybody knows the payoff now.
No, I still like the film. I don't think
I don't mean it's totally reliant on that, but without the payoff, is that such a great film? Why not just use that money and the talent that you're using to do something original?
But you could, they could do an interesting twist on it.
Okay,
You never know. Sometimes the John Carpenter's thing is better than the original thing.
That's not a remake.
You don't know, but there are remakes that are better.
There's not many.
There's not many, but I'm just saying it doesn't hurt me if somebody makes a bad film.
I didn't say it hurt you.
So they go ahead and do it. Younger people may not know the payoff. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it goes to a whole new audience. But I do think Fight Club speaks to a very early 2000s men thing.
Yeah, I mean, if they can do something interesting with that, with a female cast, then fine. If they've got like a take beyond it's all women, then okay, cool.
But that's what.
But if it's not got the same payoff, then I think it's never going to be comparable.
And this one I think you 100% disagree with. I really think in 2015 they should have remade Back to the Future, set in 2015, where the Marty character goes back to 1980. Just a whole but you're just
keep doing it every time.
So every generation has it, because I think it would.
That could work.
It could work really well, maybe. And it wouldn't hurt the original film. And you would do the whole different bits would change, but essentially that premise of going back and meeting your parents in the 80s.
I don't disagree with that, actually.
There you go.
I don't think they should do it, but I don't disagree with the concept.
Yeah. What else we got here? Would you consider Horror Express a thing film?
A thing film?
A thing, like I guess they pull the thing out of
ice.
Right,
yeah. I mean, it's sort of related to. I don't think it's canonical or anything.
Let the Right One In or Let Me In, which is the better film?
The original, isn't it? I just said.
The
Danish.
Walter Pigeon, damn it! Think about it. Oh, did we miss a joke? I don't know.
Walter Pigeon was Karloff's last words.
Yeah. But is there more to it?
I don't know.
I also saw a version of Let the Right One In on stage here, and it's set in Manchester. So it's really cool to sort of see the same story being told in the same era, but in Sweden, America, and in England. And just they change like little cultural bits. But the story itself holds up and works really well. There's a really good shot in the Reeves version when
Is it Thomas Alfredson? Yeah.
I don't know.
I really like him as a director.
Where there's like a car crash and the camera stays in the car during it. And I think it's been overused since then. But it was very cool at the time. Are you wearing a Solar Atomic Clock G-Shock watch?
No, I don't think so. It's not so. It's a G-Shock watch.
Oh, there you go.
I don't think it's solar or atomic. It's very old.
Cheers, fellas. Can't wait for the special, which is
now.
Not yet.
Oh, I thought it had just redirected, but no, you've just changed window.
I just checked 60 seconds apparently, but then there's like an ads, the usual countdown and everything.
But it should redirect.
Yes.
We don't know.
I think when I end the stream, it redirects them. That's how it's supposed to work. Well, what I'm gonna do is just gonna paste the link, just so everybody's got it.
Okay.
Just in case. There we go.
And we'll see you on the other side.
By the way, if you're not a Patreon member, you can now join us on YouTube memberships.
You get all the stuff from Patreon.
Most of the stuff from Patreon.
But on YouTube.
And it costs more. So
we'd recommend Patreon,
yes,
but if you don't like that,
you also
you
have
have options.
the option to do Patreon.
I think we need to go across.
We've got to go. No, we got 1 minute. I can check. It's not started yet. Begin shortly. We're good. American dislike of ambiguity in film. Yeah, that's a problem. I like a little bit of open-ended thing. Also saw Cuckoo recently, and that was good. So yeah, all right. I'm gonna
Lovely chatting to you.
Gonna end this live stream here. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll probably do another one of these in a month or so. But we're
Enjoy the special.
We're gonna be chatting on the special. So go join us there. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.